Good morning, everyone. This is Biz Chicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today is Wednesday, so we're here with Coach Karen, all the way from Toronto, Canada, our money mindset coach, who's going to show us how to bring profits in daily. So if you're looking for her on the web, you can look for Coach Karen Fern, or you can look under Profits in Daily, and you'll be sure to find her. She's always dropping wonderful nuggets. I highly suggest that you get your pen, paper, iPad, whatever it is, and we're going to get this party started. I'm Tara Lena from California Cover Ups. I want to give a shout out to our co-producer, Miss Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva. She's on the road today, and we just want to wish her well and good travels today. And we're going to get this party started. So, Coach, I am so excited because every time you come, I know I'm going to learn something new about myself, about how I handle my money, and I'm grateful. So, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to come in and talk to us about how to get this stuff under control. Okay.
All right, this is August. Oh my God, August. It didn't matter what's going on in the world. The days of the week, the months roll right on by into a new year. So buckle up and do what you got to do. Don't be hanging around wishing and hoping. Just take what you get. You're successful because you successfully got up this morning. Just keep remembering that. Okay.
I
First
love
things
that.
first. So
So, I've
this
already got some good stuff already ticked off, huh?
right? And all this month we're talking money. We're talking money. So last week I started off with talking about what do you want to do, if you want to be a self-made millionaire. And before, this used to feel so far-fetched, but really and truly, it is not far-fetched. It doesn't really stretch very far when you start recognizing that you want to leave a legacy and do things for different people. It goes by really quickly. So it's okay to build it. You're not being a hoarder. You're just doing what you're supposed to do. And we talked a little bit in that area. So all month we're talking money. Today's topic is about being a lender versus a borrower. And we
Mm.
know it's said in the Bible, always be a lender instead of a borrower. And really and truly, it makes your life so much simpler. Now, no condemnation for the viewers we have or the replay viewers. I am not here to condemn anybody because life happens to us. It
Mhm.
happens to all of us in different shape and form. But just know, once you're in that space, your journey, your thought process should be about getting out and not getting back in. Because getting out is all that most people put their energy into, and therefore that's why they get back into it, because they are not focusing on getting out and staying out. They're
Mm.
focusing on getting out. I like to talk about the big picture because the big picture really make you see staying out, and then you break it backwards into the getting out. So that's what we're talking about today. And we're going to look at a few things. Why being in debt is causing you more than you understand. And
Mm.
you're under pressure, so your work is harder to perform. When you're in debt, this is a fact. And what really gets you out of debt? We're going to look at these three scenarios, and we have to, because debt is one of the big barriers into building wealth.
Oh my goodness.
It just sits on our shoulders. It's just there ping ponging. And so right off the bat, I want to talk about why being in debt causes you more than you understand. It causes you sleep. First thing, and rest is so
You
important.
mean, what is it really costing you? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. What is it really costing you? It costs you rest. And I'll tell you this, most people say, well, kind of get enough rest. Are you like enough rest? My daughter used to have to go to a sleep clinic after she had an ordeal with a bunch of things that had us in the hospital for close to a year. And she had to eventually go to a sleep clinic several different times so that they can observe her sleep pattern because she couldn't sleep. It was
Mm.
ridiculous. And one of the big things, the doctor that looked after, that was really in charge of her on the studies, he said people underestimate how important rest is,
Mm-hmm.
and they understand how it you know, work in every other area of your life. And we start talking because he also had his own business on the side other than being a doctor there. And so, of course, we get into conversation. And, he talked about being in pressure in coming out of med school and owing so much money that he could hardly sleep. So even
Mm-hmm.
when he's finished a 12, 15-hour shift, instead of just dropping down and falling asleep, he'll be wide-eyed open and he's ready for another shift, but his body wasn't fully rested. We also have to talk about the rest that you're going to sleep, but you're not really sleeping, so you don't get to that third tier. You're just in the first,
Ah,
second, and you never really get to the third, which that's when you really is restful. If you get up in the morning and you're feeling all nice and bright, you really got to sleep. But if you get up and you're still tired and worn out, you didn't get to the third realm. Some people barely goes to the first. And when he started explaining how sleep work, it really makes a lot of sense.
yes.
And that's what encouraged him to go back to school and start studying sleep patterns and that sort of stuff. He was a regular family doctor, and he just went back. And after he started noticing a lot of things, and a lot of his colleagues were so tired and just overworked, and he said he wanted to see how he could help people better, because he's like, this ain't good for anybody. If a doctor is not wide and awake, this is not good.
I know that is not cute.
He travels the world, talking about sleep, and it's so important. So when you are in debt, when money problems bring a lot of stress, we know it brings a lot of stress in relationships, but it also brings a lot of stress that you pass on to your children, and you pass
Wow.
it on unknowingly. This is the thing. It is so secret and so quiet, and lots of times you pass it on unknowingly. Just the wordage. People like us don't have a bank account, or people like us don't save money, or people like us don't invest. Or why would we need to be doing that? We want to live for the here and now. We don't know if we're going to die tomorrow. And so you're dropping all these little bombs, and your kids are thinking about it, even when they don't know that they're thinking about it, subconsciously, obviously. And so they repeat the language later on in school to their friends, and eventually it becomes such a stronghold in their lives that even if they succeed and even if they did well, they will lose all the money, because this stuff has been going on subconsciously inside of them.
And all this, the other thing that we have gotten um, accustomed to is saying to our children, money doesn't grow on trees, or
Mhm,
saying to them, you got too much, share with your sister, share with your
mhm.
brother, because when you're in business, people just come out of the woodwork
Yes.
because they think you have money, so especially if you have what appears to be a very successful business.
Mhm.
And because of that training, you'll give it all away
Yes.
to people who are not
Not worthy of
equipped.
receiving it. They're
equipped.
really not worthy of receiving it. That's a fact.
Mhm.
And you're right that the money don't go on tree thing. My rebuttal always is, of course it does. It takes paper to make money, so it does grow on trees. It's just got manufactured into this thing that's tool that we use. So that, yeah.
And it does grow on trees because you have the fruit of the tree. You have the wood from the tree. You have all these things that can generate wealth. Some
Yes.
people are in the forest business.
Yes.
Money, money is trees. And think about the shortage of toilet paper,
Right?
which is
Again,
made,
tree.
made
Again, from the tree.
trees. And I remember my grandmother had property down south, and every year she get a check where they would cut down the trees.
Mhm.
And she
Mhm.
used that to pay the taxes on the property. But yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Because over time, when you think about money, over time, when you're the kind of person who's investigative and understand and working through the processes, you start realizing when you get to a certain point, you don't work anymore for the money. The money works for you. My great grandfather used to buy, I heard, lots of land. And in his old days, he sold off all his farm stuff, but the land still worked for him in terms of he would rent his land out, he
Hmm.
leased out the rice fields, or he would have people work it, and he doesn't do anything. He gets his check every month, you know,
Exactly.
regardless of what happened to to the land, he's still paid. You're hurting maybe your business, but you still got to pay him. Like it still goes to the bank for him. So, when you start understanding how money works, you're not worried about dying and leaving the money. You're not worried about what. And this is the biggest part about the dying part. And I really want to be clear on that because most people will justify it by letting you know that because you're saving, because you're
Mhm.
watching your dollars, you're going to die and left it and you're not going to enjoy life. Well, that's a big fat lie because a lot of poor people are not enjoying life either. They're
Okay.
stressed and worried and pressured out. So please, you can have money and still be happy and still be a good person, period. Because you're a good person, because you're a good person. Money don't change you. Money change you because that's how you always were, and money highlight who you always were. It didn't change you. It just showcased. It broke the glass. The glass was foggy, and everything got cleared up. Right? We get to see who's who and who's what. So money doesn't do that to you. I've been in the presence of multimillionaires that is so casual and so kind and so just relaxed, and quiet about it too, who give a lot of different things, but if you didn't know them, you wouldn't know what they've given because they don't be talking about it's just between them and the organization or the individual. That's it.
Mm. How you doing this morning? We got Claudia and Al and
Hi,
several other
Claudia.
people here in the audience. Now, Claudia is saying, let me see here. So are you saying money is not sustainable, environmentally friendly?
That's what they like us to believe, Claudia.
It is definitely environmentally friendly where I live. Okay,
Mhm.
it can hang around all at once at my house.
Exactly.
She's,
Exactly.
yeah.
you know, um, And number two, we're going to talk about you're under pressure, so your work is harder. When you're performing from a poor state of mind, and not, let's park the money for a bit, but just a poor state of mind, you are consistently under pressure because you cannot see that light. You cannot even see a glimmer of light because you're so under pressure. I remember when I used to travel to Brazil, and I'd said to this bank manager at the time we were talking. I went to change some Cruzeiro over to organize dog to Cruzeiro, and I got in there, and she was talking about how life was hard, and I said to her, it takes at that time the Cruzeiro was so low. I said, you guys are walking around like poor people, but you're millionaires. And she says, Karen, what are you talking about? Because by then I had a lot of visits with her, and we were on first name basis. And she
Hmm.
said to me, what are you talking about? I mean, $1 million is nothing. It's just a number. I said, no. If you're holding $1 million, you're a millionaire. It doesn't matter what country you're in, you're a millionaire at that moment with that money in your pocket. So you have to identify as a millionaire. You got to go find what millionaires do, how they feel, and what they move around with. If you don't know how that looks and feel, because you are. And we would have this argument. And I think about my third visit at the bank. She came in and she says, "Hi, millionaire. I just want to greet you because we're millionaires together." We had this big laugh. And she said, I just changed how I was looking at things. I started referring to my kids, in that status and talk to them about this sort of stuff, because that's what you are. That's what's going on with you at the time. Now, yes,
Hmm.
it's not US. Yes, it's not pounds, because that's the mentality, when you live in places like that. And you're thinking, or people say to you, well, if you got $1 million Guyana, then you're not a millionaire. Well, you are because you're in Guyana. So you're a millionaire in Guyana. So behave as such. So certain things you just wouldn't do. Certain things you wouldn't get involved with doing. And that's what's going to make your money grow. That's going to
Ah.
make your money start working for you. And that's going to make you change yourself in how you behave towards the money. So you'll take out the wording. That's what I really mean when I said behavior. You start talking about money in a different way. And
Ah.
that's
Okay.
how you change your mindset. If you lost the job, you wouldn't call everybody up and say, girl, or they call you and say, girl, I don't have a job. No, you wouldn't say anything. And they ask you how you then you tell them how you they were. And because if you didn't have a plan already, you don't want to tell people because they're gonna intercept and they're gonna tell you what you should do and what you can do. But you see, if you shut your mouth and you just start working on how you're gonna fix this that just happened to you, you will have a faster result, first of all, and you feel much better in yourself. Not right away, but you will. You tell nobody. If you lose your job, if your business went belly up, do not call people up and tell them. And if they call you, do not tell them about it.
Okay.
Pleasant in the state you're in and ask questions, because there's something that happened. You lost your job because God ready to move you. Yes, but you have to be honest too. Did you do some things that caused you to lose your job? And write them down. Identify with them. See what was causing this behavior and change it, right? So that you move forward. If it's God is moving you on, He's been telling you He's going to move you, but you weren't paying attention. So that's why when you got the slip, you're surprised, because He's been telling you your behavior is rotten, or it's good, but you need to move on. This company wouldn't do that for you. You need to start your own company, or you need to go to a new company to get to move forward. And you got to pay attention to those things, because now you've taken off the pressure and you're clear. But you can't take off that pressure if that's all what your mind keep telling you. I have no money. I'm broke. I can't eat no food. I got nowhere to live. And you're just encouraging it. Listen, it's going to come, but you have to talk back to it. That no,
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with you. You cannot let your thoughts run wild. You got to stop the internal chatter and change the conversation to something positive. Al has a comment here. He says, speaking of finances, I need to track my investments better. Keep my status a secret. Amazon Vest Life. 1 year later, inside Amazon Logistics. Okay. Yep. Yeah. I think this is another one of the concerns of being an entrepreneur.
Why? Every time I turn it off, excuse me.
You don't have people that you can really talk to. You can't really how can I put this? Share everything. Al and Claudia and those of you listening, you can't just blab everything, because then things begin to come in and happen. Also, you have to watch that internal chatter. How many of you have had how many of you have had
sorry about that, Terry.
Okay, situations where the internal chatter is overtaking you and you're succumbing to it? Especially right now with us being isolated, it is so easy to listen to the wrong voice.
Yes. And when it's happening, and this is the other thing, sometimes if you're not in this space, like where I'm at and what Terry is talking about, you might have to allow it to happen and then stop it. So allow a certain amount to happen and then interject, because you want to hear what's happening in your being. And when it's happening, allow it and then interject, allow and then interject, so that you start seeing your pattern. I am a writer. So if I'm having a tough intervention happening, then I would write it out. I am feeling, this is happening. I would really write that I am. And I used to give out this freebie called, you're talking about where I am now, where I want to be, and where I'm going. And so when these things come up, I'll put them in these columns, and I'll watch myself over 30 days, over 60 days, because I like to watch the change when I see a pattern in myself, because it's important for me to know why this happened and to identify the triggers. You see, if I don't identify them, it keeps repeating itself.
Yes, that's true.
That's with a guy, that's with a job, that's with your business. You have to sit back. And this takes time. And this is the part people do not like, because they're like, it's taking too long. It's taking how much time it needs to take. That's it. That's all it's doing. It's taking the time it needs. That's it.
And here's the problem. It's just like our money. We don't want to track the money for our business. Our mind is telling us we're not making money, when in fact we are. But because we didn't write it down, we don't have anything to celebrate.
Exactly. Had you written it down, you would have noticed how much money I want to make every month. And then the true thing that's happening during the month that will cause you to bring in an income, and then write it down. take out whatever you take out. For me, my rule of thumb is 10% for tithing, 10% for saving. And then I get to showcase what my income is every single month. And I get to follow that pattern. I see increase. I also have on my budget unexpected monies. I always would write that down so that when it happens, because I've been waiting and asking for it, it happens. So when unexpected money come in, I write it down. I've sometimes got a lot of lists on things for unexpected money so that the money has the place to go and pay for these unexpected money and the things that I want. That's what I want money to do. I'm always giving it a job. So it's coming in because it knows that it has a job to do. Don't be afraid to give it a job. It's important. And so when you're in pressure mood, before I go on to 3, I want to say this quickly. When you're in pressure mood, you don't feel like doing anything other than eating. In fact, you will feel like doing or drinking. But you don't want to do anything because part of your brain is saying, I'm in comfort zone, leave me alone. Even though there's pressure there, there's also this comfort of knowing where you are. The uncomfortable part is to get up and get out of it. I don't care what you do. If you walk from one wall to the other, that's what you do. Just walk back and forth. And just by walking, you're going to change the way you're thinking. Sitting down is harder to change that thought process than getting up. Just get up. Just get up from wherever you are. Or you can just simply say the words like this, stop. Like just say this to yourself, nothing else, just stop. And you just stop in the brain. You're so sudden with it that it stopped the train of thought. They'll come back again, but your job is to say stop. And you get up and walk up and down, and you say stop. And you're there. You're in the presence of what you want to change.
Okay, let me say this. You also must say stop out loud. Because when you say stop, then whatever else is talking, you can't hear it.
Exactly. Thank you, Terry. Exactly. You got to say it out loud because I am talking about, I forgot to mention that. I talk to myself, so that's out loud. Eh? You really got to. You got to do it. Okay. Number 3, what really gets you out of debt? What really gets you out of debt is the understanding, not blaming, but the understanding of why you got into it in the first place. And that's without any excuses. No excuses. Because this is just for your eyes, nobody else's eyes. Your eyes, your head, and your heart. Why did I honestly get into debt? And answer that question. And when you answer that question, you will not return to debt because you will make yourself a promise that you just wouldn't do it. And that means if somebody invited you to a dinner, I know what's happening right now, but let's say you can just go to dinner with somebody, you ask them because you're working your way out of debt. If that's what you were doing, because that's what we're talking about today. You would say to them, how many people are going to dinner? Are we going Dutch? Am I expected to ask these questions and stop feeling bad about it? Okay. I'm saying this because I've been in a position where people didn't say, I didn't ask, and I was left with the bill because the rich girl is sitting at the table. I didn't tell them I'm rich. They're supposedly I'm rich because I got businesses. And people have done this to me over and over. And I caught on a little late because I was feeling good that I could do it.
Yes.
But then they were taking advantage. So I had to stop it. Now, if you're not in the position to be able to do it, but now you're using your credit card and you're in debt. And these people are the people who get you there because you have allowed it. Let's take ownership. You need to know how you get there. It's because you wanted our boots that go so well with this specific dress that if you wore shoes, it wouldn't look as cute. Too bad. If you can't afford a boot, don't buy it.
Okay, here's Al. Al says, I did not go into debt for my college degree. It took me longer, but I got my college degree without going into debt. That's a blessing because college
big time blessing
is one of the biggest.
Yes, and I went into that kind of debt. I'm not gonna sit here. I didn't get that. I didn't have the money. I didn't have anybody to pay for me, but I wanted an education, so I did. I paid it off, but I did. I was in that kind of debt, and I asked myself, because this is my first debt I've ever really got into was my educational debt. That was my first debt, and I didn't need as much as I took, at the time, because I didn't know that I didn't need it as much as it was there available to me. And I took what they offered. And I had kids at the time. So I wanted to not feel squeezed. So, of course, I took a lot. And
Mhm.
I justified it. I made excuses for it. And then I own up to it. I said, what did you get out of it? And how is it working for you? And I answered those questions. And then I stopped moping about it and I just paid it back
There you
because it
go.
served me for what I wanted to do. And then I got into other consumer debt at different points. A lot of it was educational. I did get a little bit of consumer, but my main debt was educational. That
Mhm.
was my main debt.
Now, my main debt right now is no longer educational. It is consumer debt. And I handled it because what happened was I got out.
Hmm.
And then, like you said, if you don't really know how you got in the first place, you'll end up back there.
Circle right back. You
Mhm.
circle right back in, and then we spend so much wasted time beating yourself up.
Mhm.
You get out that piece of paper and you open the bill and it's frightening, it's scary. You're like, oh my God, I gotta pay all this money. You're like, yes, I do have to pay back all this money. Yes, I don't want to file for bankruptcy. I want to pay this money. So get off my spreadsheet, and it doesn't have to be Excel, it's just piece of paper until you can figure out this software thing. Don't let software hold you back. And you spread it out. This is the amount of money I owe. This is the income I bring in. This is what I can put in. And if I keep working my budget, eventually I can pay more. Don't try to pay everything if you can't. Pay what you can. Pay the minimum and 10%. Pay the minimum and 15%. Pay the minimum and 20%. Get yourself there. But first, get the minimum first paid, because when you start, any habit is easier to continue than trying to throw a chunk on it if you don't have it. Now, if you have it,
Mm.
but if you don't have it, then that way, you are doing something. And check in, call them up every now and then. Within the year, call them at least 3 to 4, maybe even 6 times of the year, and say to them, I'm paying my debt. What can you do for me? Like, keep talking to the creditors. Keep talking to them. Once a year, at the minimum, they will give you a 90 days break of no interest. So you can plan to pay off if you can with that window there. You can keep calling them to lower the interest. They might say no forever, but one day they might say yes. It's not hurting to call them. It's gonna help you. I mean, the first I was in a real estate investment thing, and this guy had us practice going through calling our creditors to lower our interest on our credit card. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't in this realm at the time. I know money, but I wasn't in this realm, and I said, "There's no what's gonna happen." And I was a 3 day seminar. So the morning I didn't get the break, but by afternoon I got the break. I was at the time I was getting 12% on my card because I didn't have a good or bad credit score. I just never had no credit history, so I
Mhm.
was paying 12%, and I brought it down to 9% by just calling. When the first shift was off, I got somebody on the late shift and she put it down to 9%. That's a whole 3% off. I'm excited about 3%. Yes, because when it's money you own and you can get that off, it is money in your pocket and it's money to be paid up earlier. So you call them, find out what it can do for you, especially in this time. If you got credit card debt right now, you should be calling to find out what they can do for you. Not in the mindset of they're going to take all off, but in the mindset of could they lower your interest or could they take it away for a certain amount of time?
Mm.
That is much better than trying to get out of it. Because I told Petra that my daughter the other day, she's mad with me. I said, I wouldn't clear anybody's debt, even if I could, because they're going to be right back there because they haven't felt the pressure of what it feels like to clear a debt. And she's like, Mom, why would you say that? I'm like, because you got into it. You have to get yourself out. I'll pay for other things, but I wouldn't clear your debt because your debt, I wouldn't be helping you. It's like giving a drug addict money to go buy more drugs. So,
Mhm. Gotcha. Because you don't understand the source
mhm.
of how it got started in the first place.
Yes.
And the thing is, when you find yourself there, it's like, how did I get back here? One of the things that is really interesting is habits,
Hmm.
because I know how I got back there. It was just more convenient to use the card
Hmm.
after I'd cleared the card
Hmm.
than to take the cash out and pay for it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. My scenario is I tell people, I said, if you're going to buy something, like I know I wanted a sofa for my office, so I get my finances together and I said, okay, so when can I buy the sofa? When can I buy the desk? When can I buy my office chair? And so everything is set there. So then I took out the card and I buy it. So by the time it was delivered, I am ready to pay for it. So the money's there and I go pay for it. So I pay no interest on any of the items I just mentioned. And it's all taken on the credit card, but then I paid it right away. So there's no interest because I plan for it. We're back to planning. I plan for the things I want in my office, my lighting equipment. I plan for it. I'm needing a new computer, and I'm planning for it. Yes, I could go buy the computer, but I'm not buying it because that's how I run my life. I plan for it. I have a perfectly good laptop, but I want to, a Mac computer. So I'm planning towards it. And when the time is right, because I've got my dates and time, I'll buy
Mhm.
it then because that's how I run things. I don't get excited. I love that my friends got what I want. I love that eventually I'm going to get it. But they're having it. Don't entice me to run and buy it. Now, I know some people don't have that kind of control. So I'm not knocking you on that. But your job is to reinforce. If right now you have a computer, I have a computer. It's good working condition. And put a sticky note there to remind your mind when it says to you, but if you had a Mac, it would have moved faster. You're like, to do what? Like, you can ask it, to do what? And you stay there because if you didn't plan for it, but you had other things planned for, you want to
Mhm.
fulfill those things for you at the moment, then you buy the Mac. I know when I'm going to buy the Mac. So I'm
Mhm.
planning for the Mac, okay? I'm not getting into debt for the Mac. That's what you have to keep thinking about. And when you start making money, if you haven't start making money, don't let that entice you to take the money that you were saving for your emergency or that you were going to invest because you got the money to buy the Mac. If the date for the Mac was October the 15th, that's when you're buying it, not September the 15th, because you just get some happy money. Mm-mm. Because that little thing, you know what, the biggest problem, that little movement change how you start thinking. You don't know, but it creeps up on you. And you're like, well, I could do this. Well, I could do that. And then all of a sudden, you're back in the ditch because
You
you
didn't stick
open
with
that
the
little window,
plan.
that crack in that window. You
Stick
stick
with
to
the
your gun.
plan.
Mm, stick to
Okay, so let's see what Al's saying.
it.
In 2013, after 2 years of being out of work, my family needed a second vehicle because both myself and my spouse were working. For your information, I paid cash for my second car because I planned for it. Yes,
Yes.
you can get a cash car.
Yes.
You don't have to go into debt.
No. And
Um,
how I learned the hard way. When I bought my last car and I calculated how much I paid for that car, I was slapping Karen left, right, and center. Okay. Because I paid double for that car.
well, we are no longer in the time of you can't bridge the gap between cars because we have car services like Uber and Lyft. Okay, so those car services can help you bridge that gap if you're saving for
Mhm.
something.
Yes.
Because in my city, the transportation system was such that getting to work, I really needed a car. It
Right.
was just very convoluted. And
Mm-hmm.
at the time, there was no Lyft or Uber.
Mm-hmm.
But now, if I were going through that, I would not have bought the last car because I was that far from retirement,
Yes.
a year, 2 years from retirement.
Yeah.
I could have bridged that gap until I could find a cash car
Mm-hmm.
that would get me back and forth just to public transportation so I could
Yeah.
make a connection.
Yeah.
And I would have done it that way.
Yes. Yes. I had a client used to get her hair done with me. And the last time she came, she said to me, Karen, we were talking. She said, yeah, I always tell people you were my financial school. I'm like, what? She said, are you kidding me? Since I've met you, I've never bought a car on terms.
Exactly.
And she feels the car is going. She just look for another car and starts seeing. She says, there's so many things, Karen. I stopped buying. I was just wasting money. I was like, what? She's like, yep. I know like I look like I'm dozing, but I'm listening to you. She gets some ball one time. She just taken out her phone and just put it there. I'm just gonna record this. because this is
This is so good. Look, I need to remember it.
yeah. That's what Joy said. She says, I needed to remember. I was trying to figure out some things. I was like, nope, I'm just gonna do it. And it makes me feel happy that somebody take this information and actually put it to good use. Now, this is a well-educated woman. And I was telling her the story about the girl that I got to leave one job for the other. And she took it all in, and she was the manager of a retirement home, and she quit. And so when I saw her, she said, I quit. I said, why would you leave the job? She goes, I told you I took notes. When I calculated how much it cost me to be the manager there, I decided I'm going to work part-time here and do this other job here that is less time commuting. And money-wise, when I look at my income, Karen, I went home, I calculated, you were spot on. I quit that job without thinking.
Is it costing you to go to work?
It was costing her.
I'm telling you, there are so many people. I worked for the government, okay? There were so many people who had so many years in and so much age. You had to have certain age and a certain. They were well past retirement. They were paying the government to come to work. Think about it. If your retirement met up with your other accounts, your retirement accounts or your Social Security or whatever.
Yes.
You're making 50 cents after you pay for lunch, commute, buy clothing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep. That's what Joy told me. She's like, I was an hour to work and an hour back. And after our conversation, I was like, 2 hours of my day. Karen said I'm wasting 2 hours every day.
That's an 8-hour workday.
That's 10 hours a week. She says, I went home and write my resignation. She's like, I wasn't kidding. And I started looking for another job close to home. 20 minutes to half an hour. That's what you said. I couldn't remember I said it, to be honest. But she was like, I was done.
It's a lot. It takes a lot out of your life.
Yes. So today, to wrap things up today, we talked about being a lender versus a borrower, getting out of debt, staying out of debt, understanding what got you in there in the first place, understanding the pressure. Don't let it get to you. Do what you need to do to not feel pressured. If you love designer clothes, wear them, but plan to buy a piece that you love. That's not my forte. I don't care. If I get it, it's fine. I'm just not that. But I don't condemn people who love those.
Well, we all have something that we do love.
I love my thing. There's things I love that people probably wouldn't want to pay for. And that's okay. Everybody's got their thing, okay?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Everybody's got their thing. But my thing is, if that's your thing, plan for it and then buy it. I'm not telling you don't have that coffee. I'm just saying plan to have.
I didn't know you were in here today. How you doing?
Bye, Brad.
I refuse to pay more than 2% interest when getting a car. I will get it if I need it. I was caught between paying taxes or taxis or financing. I got the wheelchair, the van, and paid it off. Wow.
Yes. And Brenna, in your case, I mean, come on. How would you be able to do much without that vehicle?
Mm-hmm. That is just a blessing.
Blessing. How would you be able to do that? So I see that. I see that making sense. And you're not sitting down. You're doing stuff. You're always at it to better your position. And that's really all you need to be working on. Bettering that, what that is. You got $2. You got $2. Don't spend that $2. That's the reason I wrote my money principle. And I've proven it so many times to so many people that when you got money and you spend to broke, you stay broke for a very long time before you catch some money back there. Because every penny that comes in finds itself walking right back out. And it doesn't go anywhere. I just don't allow it. That's the thing. You have to decide not to allow it. I will not allow it. I don't care who come and tell me what. I just listen to them. I just don't allow it.
Well, one of the things that I've done is I took a large bill and I wrote my name on it. I put it in my purse and I keep it there.
Done. See that? It ain't going nowhere.
So that I'm never under pressure to make a decision because I don't have money. Does that make?
I understand. I
I'll
get it.
never feel like I have lack or
Mhm.
this-
Lack is powerful. You know, it's a powerful feeling enough to make you do nonsense.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
don't feel you don't have, or you're in a crowd. And as adults, you know, adults still try to test you. Like I'm in a crowd. I remember once we were on a cruise and everybody was buying, and everybody said to me, "I can't believe you're not going to buy it." And I said, "Well, what would I do with it?" And everybody just stopped. They're like, "How do you mean?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, what would I do with it? Like, I don't want it." Or you can go to these specialty dinners, and I don't like Italian food necessarily. So they were going up to this Italian restaurant, and everybody went. My mom was in the crowd too, and everybody's like, "Kind of can't believe you're not gonna go." I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna go. Like I'm good. Like I'm not paying for food I don't really like." And
Mhm.
then one of the guys in the crowd, he said, "I didn't want to go, but I felt so bad. I didn't know how to say no." I said, "Do you have the money?" He says, "No." I said, "Then why are you going?" I mean, I got the money, and I'm not going.
I look, bitch chicks. No is a complete sentence.
Sentence. I love that. I just love that. Why would I go? And I don't want to eat that type of food. There's so much choices. I love the choice I made. This wasn't because of money. It's because I don't want to go. On his end, I'm like, and we get to talk, and he's like, "Whoa." I'm like, "Yeah." Used to be in the army in the States. I said, "Why would you spend money on things you don't want? Because the crowd is going? Nah, man."
And the other thing is, I have found that if I find myself somewhere where I do not like the menu, I'll just skip and order coffee and dessert.
Thank
I'm
you,
not,
Terry.
you know what I mean?
High five.
I, I don't eat this, so I'm just gonna go straight to dessert, y'all,
Thank you. Yeah, not feeling pressure.
or
I'm
straight to coffee, just
not
coffee,
having
and,
it. Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brenda's got a comment. Let's see here. I also stopped living in scarcity.
Hmm.
I thought I needed to pick up free food weekly to save for the van. I quit managing the budget, and 2 years later, I went to get it. Yeah, yeah. She just decided she's going to have a happiness plan. And because poverty is a mindset.
I say all the time, it's a mindset. That's why when people are afraid of budgeting, because they think they have to be stringent on it. It's just telling the money where to go. It's just helping you to understand finances. It's just, if you look at it that way, that's your first financial plan towards building your wealth, you'll see it differently. You can't manage budget to the way where, when you get if you spend a penny, you're freaking out in your mind. You're not budgeting anything. You're just freaking out in your mind. That's all you're doing. You can't be so greedy to your spirit, my grandmother used to like to say. You got to feed your spirit.
Mhm.
Got to give it some things. But then you can't give it all the things that you don't have to give it either. So it's a balance. It's a balancing role, right? So today, I hope I bring to you the understanding a little bit about debt and how to handle it and how to be. And because you can be rich as ever with a poor mindset, you can be poor again. Right?
Exactly.
In a twinkle of an eye, but in a twinkle of an eye.
And I like the fact that you said you really have to get out of debt. You have to understand how you got in it in the first place,
Mhm.
because it did creep back in, but I handled it, Coach. I
I know
handled
you
it.
did. I know
I,
you did.
I handled it. Nope, we're not having it.
We're not having it. No,
Not
no,
having it.
no.
So,
Because it's like to stack itself. The minute you start having it, it like to stack itself.
hmm
We're
hmm
not having it. We're having it. I was so mad at myself when I first was in debt because I was like, I'm 26 and I've never had any debt. Here I am 29 and I'm loaded with debt at the time.
so Brenda says, yes, it's all about
It,
mindset.
it is. It
Yeah,
is.
it is. You know what? I think the debt is a little like this coronavirus weight. It's hiding in different places. You
Yes.
know what I mean? You don't
Yes.
know it
Yes.
because it didn't all come in one
No.
place.
No.
Oh, what is this?
Yeah, it slowly
A
creeped up.
little here, it's a
Little,
little there, a little here. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Down the back.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
the back gets weight on it, ladies.
Yes.
Yeah, and it starts hiding on the side
Yes.
pockets.
Yes.
That's how debt is. Debt
Mhm.
got a little credit card here, a little credit
Yes.
card there.
Yes.
You know, next thing you know, you got a stacker.
Exactly. So pick one and clear it off, and then the other, and then the other, in the order that works for you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't tell somebody to do which kind, the snowball or the avalanche or the in between. Like, pick which one works for you and do it. And again, don't forget, call the credit card company, get that interest down, get that time lapse, you know, that sort of thing that helps.
Denise says, first time seeing Biz Chicks. Thanks for the morning wisdom. Good morning. We're so glad to have you. But we're not going to keep you. We really are going to wrap this up. I keep asking questions. I'm sorry, Coach. You've been trying to close. 30 minutes. I'm sorry.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Denise. Glad to have you. I'm going to let you close. I'm not going to say anything else.
Today, this month, we're talking about money. And today we talk about being a lender versus being a borrower. Get that in your mind, understand it, understand where your debt started, figure this out. Also figure your triggers so that you don't go back there. And spend time. Maybe you have to crawl out of the moment, but once you get up on your knees and then you stand up straight and you start walking out of your debt, keep walking. Eventually you'll come to a trot and then you'll be able to run out of that. And you want to get out of it because it takes away the pressure. It helps you sleep better. You know, you just feel better. And you understand what got you there so you don't go back. That's the key. Getting out of that is hard, but it's much simpler than staying out of that. Okay? So that's what I want to know. It's like making a lot of money, but not understanding a couple of things, then you lose all your money because you didn't understand a couple of things. So, and next week, we're going to be talking about how to stay afloat when you feel like you can. We're going to be talking about a lot of feelings in the money area and all that stuff. This whole month, we're talking about money. We're talking about how a lot of things are surrounding money. There's just so many different little things about money, you know, that we have to talk about. All right. Glad you love it. Hi to the replay viewers. Thank you for having me here every Wednesday. And don't forget to go to the front of your own line.
Tell us where we can find you on the web.
And you can find me everywhere in Profits in Daily. Actually, I have a group called Profits in Daily for entrepreneurs. We're switching out a little bit of things. We're totally it's gonna be like my free membership group where I, you know, get in there from next week and just carry you this motivational journey so that you can get in there and just do it. Ask questions, get involved. Let's talk about this. Let's not be anything that we're afraid of anymore. Let us be the thing that we can talk about.
Sounds like a plan. Now, guys, if you're looking to join Biz Chicks, you can text Biz to 33777 and join us. We'd love for you to become a part of Biz Chicks. Also, we have a group. So if you'd like to join the private group, you can do that also over there at Biz Chicks on our Facebook page. We look forward to helping you. We're here to help you run a profitable business. It's fun to run. And again, don't forget to go to the front of your own line. We will see you guys tomorrow. We'll be talking Happy Healthy Habits with Robin Shimizu and friends. Bye-bye.